So this session is about what can we do when things get physical. Now, in this session, I'll be sharing 3 things that have to happen. But before I get into that, I want to share with you one of the things that gets in the way of those 3 things. So I was doing a session, a deeper dive with this. This is going to be a really short conscious parenting live here, so that you know what the things are that we need to do. Now, in the conscious parenting mastermind last night, before I recorded this, we were diving more deeply into what that actually looks like in real life, what that actually looks like with your morning, you know, when your child has got overwhelmed, is having a big outburst, and that's escalating, or after school, or or with a sibling. So we looked in more detail at that, and what it specifically looks like, and how you apply that. So in this session, I'm going to tell you about what the things are. What came up in our session last night actually was how important the foundational skills are before the 3 things I'm going to tell you that you have to do. There's something you have to do first, which is to listen and get where your child is coming from. That is so important. Often that is the part that gets missed. And one of the reasons that can get missed is because we can have worries about, and one of the big worries that can come up is, well, if I do what my child is asking me to do, then I'm giving in to them, and they're in control, and I'm not holding a boundary. And when things have got to that place of your child lashing out, often it's not a time to hold particular boundaries. And the kind of boundaries that it's not the time to hold is those ones that are coming from you from a place of, if I give them an inch, they'll take a mile, right? So those ones. So I hope that makes sense for you. I'm being very careful in what I say, because there are certain boundaries you absolutely have to hold. But I feel like that will very much be covered in the 3 things that you have to do, actually. But one of the things that adds fuel to the fire is when we have our worries, and particularly about that they're going to be in control if we do what they're clearly asking us, like leave them alone, for instance. And then we can not leave them alone, for instance, if they're going, go away, and they're clearly communicating they need some space, then that adds fuel to the fire when you don't go away, right? So I hope this makes sense, because this really helps when we talk in real specifics, which is why it's great to dive into specific situations. But obviously, I'm having to be quite general here. So let me dive into the 3 things. So the 3 things that have to happen when things get physical is, the first one is stop the hurtful actions. That has to happen. That is a boundary. That's a hard boundary. Like, people can't be getting hurt. Yourself or other people can't be getting hurt. So that's a hard boundary. So if there's siblings, they need to be separated, and we need a bit of cool down time. So that's the first one. Stop the hurtful actions. Number 2 is manage the environment. So we need to manage the environment. So, you know, I know some parents are in a position where they do have to make sure there's no sharp things around, right? So we need to manage the environment if there's a risk that our child's going to hurt themselves or hurt other people. So being aware of the things around and clearing them away, right? And number 3 is discharge the angry feelings, because once a child or anybody gets to a place where they're in their red mist, they're there and they've lost control, there's no other way but through. We've got to go through those feelings. They've got to come out, be expressed and moved through. There's no pushing that stuff back down. It's got to come out. It's got to be expressed. And what we want to do that is, with that, is for that to happen in as safe a way as possible. So help them discharge their angry feelings in a safe way. So that is number 3. So those are the 3 things I wanted to share with you today. Stop the hurtful actions, manage the environment, and discharge the angry feelings. And often what can happen is, so that absolutely has to happen. And often what can add fuel to the fire is if we miss that foundational step of listening, of empathy, listening and getting where they're coming from and understanding that they have lost control. They are feeling awful, rather than out to get us or anybody else, right? Having that empathy of being in that place of being out of control. So I hope you found this interesting and helpful. And if you're wanting support with how to implement those things that I've talked about and how to support your child with that foundational step that I've also talked about, then do reach out and ask me the ways in which I can help you. Some people are within the Conscious Parenting Mastermind. Obviously, we work on that in a group there, but I also support people one-to-one as well, and do like a Managing Emotions bundle. I'll put the details of that below for anybody who's needing support with that as well. So, I hope you find this helpful. If you want more tips and information, make sure you subscribe to this channel, then you will get more tips and information, as there are lots of different sessions you can also check out. And wishing you all the best with navigating these tricky situations.